Way hey and up she rises. Today it's time to put on our pirate hats and play the Stradani Civil War demo. So I've been knee-deep in a lot of very large builds recently, so rather than just soaking in them and not doing anything else, I decided I'd pump out a few relatively quick ships, Deepwater Guards themed, of various strengths and difficulty qualities, and play through a custom campaign. I want to play through a few other custom campaigns with some other vehicles that I'll make along the way, but the Stradani Civil War is the one that stood out to me the most. I really like Deepwater Guard themed vehicles, so I decided to give it a try. This is Bungalow Bill of Future Past. This is like my fourth or fifth attempt at recording the intro. All of my other clips seem to come out okay, but I'm having a lot of issues with video corruption on this one in specific for some reason. I don't know if there's something with the first loading screen on the game or something that's messing up OBS somehow and causing video corruption issues. I've reinstalled a lot of graphics drivers, updated OBS, that sort of thing. Hopefully this one will come out okay. So this is just a demo. It just has the first faction. There are a lot of issues with it. The AI doesn't really play well. There are no transport boats to move materials around, so they only make forces out of one base. The rest of them just soak materials. And the one that does make ships makes them very, very rarely. It just pumps out a few early game craft and then like one medium game craft. So almost everything I fight against is a Punisher craft. And the pacing for it's a bit off. We'll see when I spawn in a 400,000 resource fleet, which is more than double the cost of all of my craft. I actually played through this campaign more than once. That craft just absolutely destroyed me the first time. I wasn't ready for it at all. This time I hit it with the exact same fleet and I get lucky and I win. We'll also see some kerfuffles on my part. I have a few different issues with automatic thrust on some of my craft. They seem to be working in testing, so I thought, oh, that's neat. I'll just, keep using them like this and see how it goes. I just roll almost all of my resources into one big craft for the end, and it has severe thrust balancing issues, which I didn't realize during testing, and I don't even realize until after the campaign is entirely over, and I find why it fell into the water and died during one of the battles. Confused during the campaign, thought it was build issues, and there are things that could be improved to the craft, but it's really the automatic thrust balance that sent it into the water, because it had like 4 total up thrusters among all of the propulsion that was supposed to keep it airborne, and it was just not a good thing. So, anyway, we'll kick off this campaign. There are a lot of text dumps in a very short period of time, so I do not read them. I tried reading them my first playthrough, and man, it was a lot of talking. So, we made a faulty plane, had a bad engine blowout. Spannerheim goes after us. We somehow managed to escape with our crew. With just one plane worth of crew. We don't have anything that's particularly seaworthy, so we can't escape through the unknown. We've got to defend ourselves or fight it out, that sort of thing. Tells us not to scrap our first base and our fleet because we'll die. That was not the button I meant to press. So, blow these up for a few more resources, and I do like to trim down the starting fortress a little bit. This time I don't, but there's 2 major points. So it looks like there's 4 huge rail gantries here. There's actually only 2. They're hidden behind the decos. So trim those out for a little bit of resources, and then I go ahead and build a few craft, and then we rejoin with the second clip once I've spotted the enemy, which spawns in a Punisher fleet. If you don't spot the enemy, I have no idea how much time you get before you actually get attacked. I don't know if there's some other trigger for the Punisher fleet, or if it doesn't spawn in until you see enemies. Haven't done enough testing. So, very, very big map. But currently the demo is just in this portion. There are a few ships completed for the other factions. They're not very Deepwater Guard themed, though. The Spannerheim ships are the ones that really capture my attention, so I might not play through the full version if it ever comes out. we'll have to see, but I really do love the ships for the Spannerheim faction, and despite its problems in this campaign, I do have a lot of fun with it. So, without further ado, let's handle it off to Past Bungalow Bill. So, almost immediately, as soon as you start expanding outwards, you start to get additional text dumps. So here's the first one when you spot Scope Enemy. And it tells you stuff is coming in this case it spawns in Spannerheim's attack. I've already spawned in some counter pressure, the Wiggler. We've got the Wiggler and the Beeble. There may be slightly better names coming after the first three craft. The fourth one's at least somewhat decent. First three are pretty bad though. It is it's a large map. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. We'll see how long this takes me. I've previously been through like here. It generally expands pretty quickly as you get further out. So the Wiggler can deal with this by itself. This is always the same fleet that spawns in. This much isn't random. I'm actually going to sacrifice some of this capture progress though to get the Beeble involved. It'll let me show off both craft at the same time. It'll also make the fight a little bit faster. Now, I did build the Wiggler just because the Beeble wasn't good enough. I don't know why it can go to 869 meters. I decided to see how high it could go outside of combat. It's set to stay lower inside of combat. I didn't really test out afterwards though. I suspect that we might just have different physics in this universe with a higher atmosphere, because like, this is not a craft that should be capable of launching itself into space. It just does not have the lift for it. Maybe it could, but I seem to have control because as soon as I told it to descend from that distance, it started descending, which made me figure that there's probably atmosphere. So this is the Beeble. It's very, very much a Deepwater Guard craft, not, as intricate as a lot of other ones, but I'd figure she places at around medium difficulty for Deepwater Guard, so not that much. Modestly armored, but all that armor is in the front, so she can actually take quite a big hit from the front. As soon as you start hitting somewhere else, it causes problems. The engine is exposed. There are internal ammo barrels, but to get enough ammo, there's some external ones. I just put them where they wouldn't hurt anything else if they blew up. And she uses beam riders, so I deployed her pretty high above her combat altitude. Oh, and something that I should add is that, let me just make the resource rings disappear, is that even though a lot of these craft aren't going to be very good, some of them will be pretty strong, but none of them will be like outstanding, blow your mind, amazing. I do try to do something that's at least interesting to me with every single one. So here I'm using beam riders. I never use beam riders. Beam riders have these little funky suction cups on them, and they're not really suction cups, but they look like them to me. So the advantage of beam riders is that if your craft that is aiming the beam is not moving very much, and it's tracking an enemy, and your beam riders stick to that beam and track it, the path that they follow will look very much like an APN guided missile. It should be pretty much identical, actually. Additionally, the guidance comes from the craft, so they're difficult to spoof. Smoke doesn't work on them particularly well because it's only an issue once the missile itself enters the smoke cloud, as opposed to laser designators where, no, as soon as the contact point of the laser enters the smoke cloud, you have a problem. Disadvantages: you can't tune the beam riders, and they don't stick to the missile very well. Your craft has to be stationary. This dodges a little bit, but if it moves too fast and the beam wobbles, you're gonna miss. But the big one is that you can't tune these. We'll see how big a problem that is, because as soon as this battle starts, we're going to be following them. I'm not going to explain all the other craft as much. I'll still explain them a little bit. This is the Wiggler. I built the Wiggler because the Beeble just wasn't strong enough. I built all of these craft except for the Wiggler before looking. No, I built two of these four craft, but the Beeble is one of them. The next thing I'm going to spawn in is another. Before I had even looked at the enemies from this campaign, I just assumed they'd be Deepwater Guard-like. They're stronger, so I need something that's fast enough to intercept many of their fast vehicles, which I didn't have. And these aren't very powerful missiles, but they're very flexible. I mean, they do still have warheads on them, so there's not nothing. But there's a lot of like turning thrusters and fins and APN guidance and stuff just to make sure that they hit well. The beam riders just weren't cutting it against faster targets. And then pretty highly maneuverable and dodgeable vehicles. So will be difficult for these ruffians, I think they're called. Yeah, the Ruffian Squadron. Presumably the Ruffian Squadron is composed of ruffians. And so all the ships in this custom campaign look pretty good. I don't like the camo that much. I like the metal to pop a little bit more in these designs. I like how the Deepwater Guard craft the metal really stands out. These craft tend to be very tanky, and you will sometimes get big ammo detonations on them, but it's not as easy as with Deepwater Guard craft that you'd expect. So even though these ruffians are, I didn't check, they're probably an easy or medium design, they're actually quite tough. And these shells can do actual real damage, right? Like, this isn't just a total joke shell. It might not be a powerful gun, and it might be a bit off meta, but it's not just a joke. So I actually really do enjoy it on those accounts. I think the balancing is quite good. I think I have had some very bad RNG. Oh, are these just going in the water? Yeah, well, we dipped too low, but they'll come back. So I had some very bad RNG spawning in Punisher fleets, and I think Punisher fleets in general are just a very, very bad idea. So these are heat warheads, which tend to not work very well. I was hoping I would get some easy ammo racks by accident. No. I've had a few very good heat hits. So we usually won't be dodging like this. That was because we came too close to the Wiggler. So these HE missiles are doing way better than the heat, unfortunately. But, you know, I sort of find Punisher fleets to be an example of bad difficulty. Things that make you lose at games, but don't really, see how these are having some issues. We're still hitting, but if these were moving any faster, we wouldn't be hitting. So things that make games take more tries, but like don't really make them harder in any substantial way. Like if you knew beforehand what the Punisher fleet was, you could make intelligent decisions. If the Punisher fleet just spawns in and destroys you, all that you learned is that you need to save before taking an action that could cause a Punisher fleet to spawn in. I have the same issue with Baldur's Gate 3. There's so much just absolute janky things that can wreck you that I just save like every 5 minutes, especially because the game's really buggy. And it does commit one of the like cardinal sins of Dungeons & Dragons in some ways, which I shouldn't call it the cardinal sins, but like in Dungeons & Dragons, player characters have very small health pools and very large amounts of damage. Monsters have very large health pools and deal very small amounts of damage comparatively. And they use that to make the combat encounters take a moderate amount of time. However, if you fought monsters on monsters, it would take absolutely forever. If you fight player versus player, on the other hand, it is not well tuned. You can wipe parties in single rounds. You can throw a single save or suck spell that immediately ends the game, as happened both from and against me many times in Baldur's Gate. There are some very high initiative enemies, like the Githyanki Inquisitor, who can just wipe your party with one spell. It is crowd control, but you just don't get another turn. The battle's over. Like, if your whole party gets hit by the AoE, and they all fail their save, which actually happened to me 3 consecutive times, before I just decided to start metagaming, which made the battle trivially easy. Like, there's nothing I could do. I just got CC'd for basically 3 to 4 turns on my entire party, and they all died. On the other hand, you'll fight, like, a boss-level enemy, and one of your characters will kill them in 1 round. So after we destroy his fleet, he gives us this false... what is it? So I don't know how we would know that he misspelled it unless he's spelling it or pronouncing it oddly. So like Prapatzel or something. Anyway, if we give up all of our crew, he'll bring us back and such. But of course, you know, that's not true. So I should at least read this one out loud, but I'm not going to. I could give Spannerheim a voice. I didn't realize there's a second of them there. Maybe they weren't supposed to both come up at the same time. this is to me a little bit of a meaningless message. It says, you could attack them, or you could defend. Well, like, yes, I know that those are two options. You know, not that I have an issue with exposition, but they could go a little bit easier on the text sometimes. Okay, I should have paid more attention to the screen beforehand. So I said I didn't know what made it a demo. Yeah, once you start actually mousing over these, yeah, not a lot of these actually have blocks. It's you and Spannerheim. So this is going to be a much shorter campaign than I thought. I do love that they're all pirates. You can't trust anyone, not even yourself. They all use exactly the same icon. So I think that's fantastic. But now I know as soon as we're done killing Spannerheim, this is going to be over. So probably going to be a very quick 2-episode series. And this is exactly why you need a fast intercept craft, because here comes the Trailblazer at 98 meters per second. It does mean that I have to give up on this capture. In previous attempts, I haven't even bothered to try to capture tiles with the Wiggler. Now, I already know what the Trailblazer is. It's when I realized this campaign wasn't exactly what I thought it was getting into, but I'm not saying it's bad because of that. So the Trailblazer is not a very strong design. Let's look at this before, before we kill them. We do not launch missiles very cleanly. We accelerate very fast at the start of battle. They all come at the nose. When we're at full speed, they have problems ejecting as well. So, interesting little craft. Are these decos? No, they're actually AA guns. I knew that they were there, but I never checked if they were decos or not. So, actually a fair bit of metal here. Not a very well armored craft, though. And yes, it is a laser craft. The laser's been decoed out. It fires out of this ring. I don't know, but I think the laser components are actually hidden as decos in here as well. I could be wrong, but that seems like where they dropped from. I haven't spawned it in to check, though. I really like the propeller blades that they use, even if they're not very realistic. They look like machetes to me. I thought that this craft was a bomber when I first saw her because the cameras point directly downwards. My new graphics card gives me more black flickers than my old one, but it runs way better. I have not seen her tank a shot before. That's the first time I've seen her survive a hit, and we may have severe issues because she may not have an out-of-control despawn. That might be something else missing in the demo. So, we've launched more missiles off. They had some real problems getting out here. They may have some real problems... Oh, nope, she does have an out-of-control despawn. They were able to hit, too. Not as well as I would have liked, but the fact that they hit it all was pretty good. So, this is fortunate. I have not seen an out-of-control eject yet, or an altitude eject, so I'm glad that they exist. And just like that, the way is clear. We've also spawned in the Implication, my last vehicle, so she'll be over here to do some damage soon. Now, the Spear in the Whale pub, doesn't have defenses, so, don't really need her for it. Actually, I'll keep this here to help with these things. Alright, so this is the Spear in the Whale pub that we're battling, and we are using the Implication, which is more like an alien pirate ship, but, built a few different styles this time. The Wiggler's back as well. She actually took a little bit of damage, 2% that last fight. Does actually have 2 mainframes on the 2 sides of the craft. So the Implication is a lot of blocks. She costs 116,000. So getting towards the end of the late game craft sizes, I will probably only spawn 1 of her this campaign, maybe 2. Support her with some additional Wigglers. Decent top speed of 56 meters per second. I believe she's faster backwards than forwards because she's got these big front-facing frag guns. So moderate shell speed, 400 millimeters, 2-clip Tetris. No defuses, just ammo ejectors at the bottom, so if she takes significant damage, you'll start to see shells eject. So each craft I want to do one thing that's interesting, to me at least, that I hadn't done before. Maybe trivial or uninteresting to other people who have done these, but this is Java approved turret Tetris. So these are all 1 meter autoloaders with 1 ammo intake. There are no clips here. So when they detonate, they only do 20 damage because you can only fit 1 shell in an autoloader, and this shoots 50mm rounds, so 1 shell is absolutely tiny. However, even with 50mm rounds, these are, if you look at the shell speed, these are APHE shells, so for CIWS. It's my preferred shell type. The clips would chain detonate, so you still need to either just accept that these are going to blow up if you use the clip Tetris, or you'd have to ammo eject them, which is inefficient space-wise. So these are costly for their firepower, but they are size efficient for non-reactive turrets. And here, the Spear and the Whale pub. You kind of think it would be a fortress. No, she's actually a boat. So she's got turning thrusters well above the waterline. She can turn though. I don't know how. I really don't. But she can actually turn quite fast. She's got a few guns. I think she's decorated not quite as lovingly as a lot of the boats are. You know, she still looks pretty good anyway. So let's blow her up, it shouldn't take very long. So here come the frag shells. Now, because there's going to be a lot of wood in this campaign, at least I'd assume, I do lean more towards frag and HE than I would for craft against meter. So if you are going to bring these craft, which I will put on the Steam Workshop, and you know, they're not like that great, so I definitely understand people not being interested in them, but if you do decide to bring them into Neater, I would suggest alternate weaponry. The HE and frag is just not as good. There's a lot more metal and heavy armor in Neater. Another good reason to have a fast intercept craft, because I've got 2 enemies attacking me at the same time. I have a Midge Squadron, which the Wiggler is actually necessary for, because neither the Beeble nor the Implication can actually shoot these down successfully because they're just that small. Now, you would really hope that the Implication could shoot these guys down because they fly in a straight line, but I mean, it does work sometimes, but I still have trouble, so tiny little craft, whopping big missiles for how small the craft is. So these guys can actually really hurt. See, what's the speed on these guys again? 87 meters per second, so decent. So this is the reason we have these missiles. They're not the best, but they are capable of hitting these guys. Maybe I should have had prediction guidance instead of APN on them. Then maybe they would have hit the second midge there. I've been warming up to prediction guidance a little bit compared to how I used to feel about it. Looks like they have very close range firing restrictions, so they're just not. These midges are just not firing. I wish we could distribute the missiles a little bit to knock them all down, but, you know, that's not really going to be a thing. Their fuel might have been too low for turning thrusters at that point. They disable themselves after they use a certain percentage of the fuel, given the default settings in the UI, which I never actually change. But yeah, the midges fly pretty straight, so they're not like flying squirrels or anything. You can knock them down one after the other. So we've got to skedaddle and intercept the Dragonfly. Oh, the Dragonfly is actually abandoning course and going somewhere else because we've already finished capturing this, but of course I'm going to continue capturing. Not really worth picking up. I'll pick it up once I've killed Scavenemy. There's no resource zone or anything, so there's not really a point to doing it. I didn't want to accidentally get blockaded with the Wiggler there. But we'll shell all of this with the Implication. That won't be that much of a problem. Probably do it off camera, or at least maybe destroy... Yeah, no, I'll probably do it off camera. There's let's check out the Dragonfly. There isn't much of interest going on at Scavenemy. So I have not seen this before. That is the weirdest turret I have ever seen. So got this like Monstro turbocharged engine or something it's supposed to look like on the front. Big gun, lots of missiles already firing. These are all Warhead. Very, very low firepower considering all that. What's her speed again? 77, slower than I would have thought too. Let's follow her for a little bit and see what she does. Okay, these missiles are, I think they're rocking prediction guidance maybe? Could be APN. Yeah, when she's dead I missed. To me it seemed like they were reacting too fast for APN to the new collision point. But, you know, it's hard to tell sometimes. I cut that clip by accident. So this is Scovenemy, which I'm destroying with the implication. I decided not to bring the Wiggler. We are not doing a good job of shooting these missiles down. We do have some stability issues. So anyway, I decided not to bring in the Wiggler. She's off capturing another square. Okay, so we're not doing that bad at shooting missiles down, but it's not that good either. So we do have stability issues because we dodge from side to side. With our frontal hover movement, that was all I could do with the AI. We're obviously built to bob up and down instead, because we're, you know, a pancake. So there's not much here that can really hurt us, I think. I'm actually glad we're shooting at this instead. It is kind of hard to hit. This is another issue for us. But it's more fragile and has more firepower than this defense. Like, what is the Cram really going to do to us? I think this one shoots dumbfire rockets, the other one shoots smart fire rockets. We saw a few rockets cruise by with no control whatsoever. So, the rest of it's a little village. You know, nice little houses, nothing unbelievably outstanding, but, you know, they're pretty good. There was a lot of effort put into this demo. And even though there aren't any other factions, there are ships for them as far as I can tell. I haven't really looked in the designer, but once I complete the actual game, I might go and take a look at a lot of the ships and show off maybe some of my favorite ones. We'll see. And as soon as I finish blowing up those houses, barracks, we are given another prompt which just tells us we can either go east, or it says northwest. I think it's actually northeast. We've already explored the northwest. They're giving me bad directions, I guess. So it says that Call to Island is relatively unprotected, and it does warn you that you'll bring in the ire of another influential pirate lord. That's a Punisher fleet. I didn't actually realize it would be as fear as it was, that I'd... At least the first time that I'd spawn in a 330,000 material craft in a fleet, not just by itself. I did it again and got 120,000 resource craft by itself, so no idea how variant it is and how many different things you can get. We'll have to find out. And to the north lie the lands of the Last Legion. They're not actually here, apparently, so we can only choose the two Spannerheims. I think Call to Island's just right here. So here's the first significant battle that we're going to undertake. We are fighting Audrain Low, the Pirate Lord, a Little Shack, and the Warwind. I don't remember what difficulty the Warwind is. I would be really shocked if it was a hardcraft. Maybe it is. So we do need to pull her out of the harbor, that much is good. I don't want her to be stuck on land. She will happily spawn on land, which really isn't what I want. Or he, I don't know what name Audrain is supposed to be. Or maybe non-binary, who knows. Anyway, it looks like a broadside spawns. We're gonna get hit by these AP shells immediately. She usually spawns in front-facing towards the big craft, but I guess it just depends on the order that your ships are in the fleet. So she's one facing this way this time, which is different. Maybe she'll put up more of a fight. So a little bit bigger than the implication. These are about equal-sized fleets. Moderate to high armor cost, but laid out in sort of this multi-decker warship style that doesn't really lead to much robustness for the most part. There are ships like this for the Onyx Watch as well. It's very hard to make them viable. It is a fun ship to shoot at. There goes a shard cannon. We took no damage, probably because we were repositioning. Yeah, those shells aren't that fast, actually. Hard to tell the speed, like 600 or 700 meters per second. It's pretty slow for kinetic shells. Oh, the Beeble took a shot. Yep, grazed one of our missiles. Racking up some decent damage though. We don't shoot much explosives. We shoot a little bit, but presumably something went up there. The bow chaser is totally gone. There's an empty space behind it as well, which means that there might have been an ammo rack. Generally they're not substantial, so that it's not like when you do a Deepwater Guard ammo rack and the whole ship explodes, right? Like when you hit the leatherback, and she might be a godly, but if you hit her ammos, at least the last time I fought her, maybe she's been modified since then, it would just totally gut the entire ship. Just a shell would fall into the water afterwards. So, you do get moderate ammo racks, but they don't just absolutely torch a ship and break it in half. You barely notice sometimes. However, without the bow chaser, and with her steaming straight at us instead of settling into a broadside, she's got most of her guns ripped out as well, yeah. There's not a lot here at this point. Those twist a little bit, so maybe one turns on them with a bit of a downrange distance on it. And a low health despawn, so not the most difficult ship. There are some very strong ships in this campaign. I have not even gotten to the end of the Spannerheim faction before, which is... Oh, right, we've got the... oh, we're so far from it. I'll probably just cut. Haven't even got to the end of Spannerheim before, but... hopefully we'll see some of the godlies spawn in, or just be defending the bases. So this is going to burn us some resources, I guess, but... We'll kill it eventually. I'll cut here, though. We'll rejoin the next time we've got something interesting to do. Oh, it's AI dead. Never mind. That was easy. Usually 60% stability, 3 kilometers out. Yeah, you're not hitting these, but we got lucky. Alrighty. I just spawned in a second Wiggler, and just as I finished capturing this tile, there is a previously unseen to us, at least, enemy, the Spark Gap, who cost about 2 Wigglers, so let's throw 2 of them in. The last time I threw in, last campaign, threw in 1 Beeble and 1 Wiggler, which was actually pretty interesting, but we'll do 2 Wigglers this time instead. So the Spark Gap is not terribly difficult, but very interesting. Whether or not it's actually copyright infringement probably depends on, one, whether there is actually a copyright for the source material, which maybe it doesn't follow as closely as I think it does. I didn't bring up a picture of the two to look at them. The original certainly doesn't have these propeller blades at the side. And, you know, this whole thing of, well, we just don't talk about where it comes from. It's the whole Grey Talon thing. So, particle cannons, not a long focus length, you can see though. They start to wiggle about here. Well, I mean, you know, they wiggle from the start, but then they get real bad about here. So not enough to do us any actual damage. But she's very dodgy. This is a hard craft to hit. You really want these missiles or lasers or, oh yeah, high velocity kinetic shells. She might be wiggly, but she is not as wiggly as we are. So she's still alive. She's barely capable of pointing in a direction. She probably will fire if the particle cannon's vibrating. She probably has a breadboard or ACV or something that tunes the particle cannon charge time based on length, based on distance. But couldn't take another shot. Maybe some important internal damage. Very interesting vehicle, though. Alright, so it's about time to kill Calda Island, and I am very concerned about the Punisher fleet that can come out from this. There isn't much here of any actual concern to fight against the airport repair station, some random barracks. But we're gonna save Scum, because we could spawn just about anything after killing her, so let's get the fleet in a little closer. We don't actually need much of this stuff for this fight. I'm definitely not gonna bring in... I'm not going to actually spawn in the Beeble here. Actually, managed to get a block knocked off by the Spark Gap, apparently. She only took, like, what, one shot? So, got this nice big station. It does actually, you know, shoot things at you. It can do actual damage. It'll take a few % off of us. Nothing terribly significant, but more than nothing. Really big radar signature. What was... Well, it's just salvage now. There was some ship as well. So what we were shooting our main guns at, which I tried to set her up to shoot her main guns at big slow things, but I think I might have just like left the default, which usually does that okay. But you can tune it to be way, way better than the default, and I probably didn't do that here. I know I did for the big one. The fourth ship, unseen so far, that spent a lot of time on. I don't know if we'll even be able to get enough resources to put her together. Some of these resource rings are pretty anemic, and I'm not capturing anything here. So yeah, we got... Oh, that's a % taken off the Wiggler. The implication hasn't lost anything. We usually lose like 3%, so better than you'd expect. These are all the same across all of these. I don't think that there's any variation to these. They are cool though. I'm not a huge fan of the bigger cram one. I really like this little guy though. Once you get to these really small shacks though, these do not get a radar lock from the guided missiles, I believe. We have to rely on the implication to shoot these. In my previous run, I knocked more of these bases down with Wigglers, and I'd have to have them drop me to kill the shacks because they wouldn't do it on their own. And I waited quite a while. So yeah, we're getting Yaktiafie's Punisher fleet. I probably should not have clipped that, but anyway, we spawn in the Narva, who I've actually fought against several times. So she's an aircraft carrier. We'll take one implication and one Wiggler. That'll put us pretty even on resource balance and let us scramble the up. You know, we could actually have the Wigglers come up here then back down here. This is a Ruffian squadron. It's like not that fast, but it means that I'll scramble a Wiggler and the Beeble to take these guys on, while the implication and another Wiggler takes on the Narva. However, since the Narva is a carrier, I really, really need the Wiggler to shoot down the aircraft that get left behind. It would take me a very, very long time. She is large. We'll give her that much. I think she's a medium difficulty class craft. So I have no idea what caused me to get a Scylla and like another ship that I hadn't seen before the first time, but maybe that was really bad luck, because maybe this is what you're supposed to get. Sub-vehicles are messing with the spawns. Let's make sure that all works properly. So these are midges. I don't know if she spawns more than that. I thought there were more than 4. I guess not. But anyway, so big multi-hull carrier. Modest fighting capacity, but a lot of armor. It is how I like to build carriers. I like them to be really tanky, and try to design them so that AIs prefer to kill them over my fighter planes, and to make it take a long time. So you spend a lot of time killing them from a distance, and your fighter planes get up close and personal and maul your craft. So we'll take out a few of the missiles. Oh, actually, we're doing a pretty good job. Oh yeah, we're doing a really good job. These Seawolf guns are very cheap compared to the midges. I mean, they don't have reinforced bodies in their missiles. We'll also try to shoot the midges down. We will not always be that successful. Oh, that was a pretty good hit, even though we got a shot on it. We're dodging a lot for the Wiggler. This is causing us some problems. Our underbelly is not well balanced and are not well armored. We did dodge these though. And yeah, our Seawolf is on top, so we really like to actually be relatively low altitude. But the Wiggler is causing us to dodge a lot. I should probably set the implication to not dodge for any reason. Right, like now we're dodging from the enemy craft. And just have her set to dodge the Wiggler. And set the Wigglers to dodge. So we put a pretty good crater in the Narva by now. The implication's taken a little bit of damage, but it's not really that bad. I do wish that I could have the Wiggler shoot the midges down instead of the Narva, but the Narva has a really big radar signature, so she's going to get all of these missiles. Which actually, like, they do an appreciable amount of damage. Oh, are we... No, I don't know why we're not closing. Oh, are we... We got far enough from the flagship that we decided to disengage it. That's actually a huge problem. We likely won't pathfind back into her either because we're avoiding other vehicles. I don't know why we're not approaching at this point. Yeah, we should be closing. This is bizarre. Right, like, it's not like we're crippled in any particular way that makes us unable to fly. We also had that weird moment. Like, is this doing something despite not having any movement? No, it doesn't look like it. So we're taking a lot of extra damage here because we did not kill the Narva quickly because we were really far away for... I don't know what reason. I really don't know why. Like, all the normal suspects were not an issue there. But we were really fighting backwards compared to how we wanted to be, right? We want the implication to maul the Narva fairly quickly. I just want to make sure that we're high enough that we don't crash into the island. Right, so the implication should be mauling the Narva pretty quickly. And then the Wiggler is supposed to take out the midges. Alright, now we can finally take the midges out. Oh, it was a glancing blow. It's crippled, but not dead. Actually, it's not even crippled. They definitely accidentally dodged my shots. Looks like we got a main gun hit on one of the midges. Missed when it happened. We somehow didn't just explode it either. It must have been another glancing blow. Oh yeah, there's another main gun hit. I knew the previous one was main gun because it had no HE damage involved. There's another missile hit, presumably. That 18k explosive damage shouldn't happen otherwise. So we do take the midges out eventually, I guess. Yeah, running straight in. Not the greatest idea, but it takes a while. Oh, okay, we're good. We do have 1 turns. I don't think that we have intra-vehicle transmitters, though, so it's possible we just couldn't see this craft. Do we just not approach? No, we are approaching. Not very fast, but we are approaching. Probably the horizontal dodging slows things down a bit. Okay, this is going to be problematic. Or, yeah, Wiggler's out of materials. They're just not sharing. Here's out the full 6,000. The implication must have stolen a lot of them at the beginning, and then she ran out. So this would be a lot faster. A lot faster if she had some better targeting, so let's make that happen. Alright, that took a while, but we did kill her. So are we getting the skillet? They did say something about the skillet. Well, we'll find out, I guess. Well, I guess that is why you make a save, because we are getting the skillet. Maybe it's not random and you always get this fleet. I didn't see this fleet the last time, though. So, who knows? Anyway, this is the Punisher fleet that is... Maybe I'm supposed to let the previous one roll in for a bit. Maybe I'm supposed to pirate the fleets. Like, it kind of makes sense, capture them. But last time I held this for a long time and never had a problem. We're going to have to just scramble everyone, and we're going to get obliterated. Just absolutely obliterated. And then I'm going to load the save and go around and not do this whole thing. But this is all that we're going to get in time. So this isn't even going to be close. We can't even touch the enemy here. So I brought in these Wigglers. The Seaways on the skillet is too strong. We just can't get through it. You would need more missiles than I have the money to build. You could use a lot of kinetic missiles and maybe overpower it. But I think, in all likelihood, you need more missiles than we can build. So it's basically just going to be the implication versus the skillet, and we're going to get mauled. It's not even going to be close. So this is the extra vehicle. Definitely tolerable, but I think there are bomb bay doors here. I wasn't paying that much attention to it, but I think she's a bomber. But the skillet is going to just absolutely destroy us. It's not particularly close. This is way more firepower than we can deal with. We will not get much of a chance to kill her. She will whiff with a scram barrage, and then she's going to launch missiles, and they're going to eviscerate us. We'll be left with the Wigglers for quite a while, but they don't matter because they can't do her any damage. She has some very strong Seawiz. Okay, at some point she's going to launch missiles, and then we're going to have an extreme problem. I don't know when that's going to happen. There's the Seawiz. Yep. You can't touch her with like Wiggler class numbers. So last time I got totally obliterated by the Skillless missiles. This time we're actually putting up a pretty good fight, retreating. Ooh. Was that one of the Seawiz? No, that was an APS turret. Something's getting built or repaired. Oh, it's a Midge. It's just stuck in the side. I saw one getting built earlier. Oh, the implication took a really big hit. We do dodge. We don't dodge that well. Okay, that wasn't that bad. Frontal assaults are fine. Oh, this looks like timed cram. So we might be just cheeseballing the Skilla out of existence. She just might not fire. I'm pretty sure she's got some very hefty missiles earlier. Because the last time I fought her, I got one-shot by a barrage of missiles. I mean, technically I was alive, but I did not have a lot of firepower. Okay, we actually lost some firepower. Yeah, I could tell we weren't shooting shells as fast. We took another 2 hits, probably. No, the guns got desynced, but they're all still there. We are missing a little bit of firepower, though. Still getting all of our missiles shredded. We really need to take those Seawiz out, but she's pointing like this at us, so they're actually mostly sheltered by the deck. We're losing altitude. Oh, that must have been from craft avoidance, but we don't have craft avoidance on. Oh, we got missiles through. That's a first. We are retargeting ships. That's so bad. I would like to kill this bomber and to not get bombed. We cannot... That was a big hit. 78%. I don't know what we got hit by. Maybe, like, does this drop magnet bombs or something? Did we take a cram shell to the side? And because of that, I missed us low healthing the Skilla. I did not think that was going to be possible for us with our current fleet, because we are just so massively disadvantaged. But she never turned her missiles against us. She did get a good cram hit. We are definitely crammable. We're not that dodgy. Cram gun is not firing anymore. It's also possible that her C was started to run out. She was still firing though when we got missiles through, so not that likely. Yeah, those gantries all point straight down. Either bombs or torpedoes, I guess. I've never seen this craft shoot a missile before. I think she probably did this fight though, and I just missed it. Got the seaplane vibe. That'd make me really hope that those are torpedoes, but who knows? I'm surprised, even though this is a very slow spin, I'm really surprised we're getting over the beam riders. I usually can't hit anything that's going more than like 20 meters per second with them, because they just don't stick to the beam well enough, even if the beam is always locked right onto the target. But anyway, we killed the Skilla. I really didn't think that was going to happen. So, who knows what's going to happen after that, but that was really nice. I didn't intend for them to be at least something interesting about each craft that I built for this, even if the Wiggler was relatively plain. The Wiggler's interesting thing, other than actually using a little bit of lift to fly level, yes, there is one upside down and two right side up because of how strong these are for this lighted craft, and the fact that I didn't want to have it look a little bit uneven with just two wings, or just one wing actually, which maybe I should have done. But she's a delta wing. I almost never use delta wing configurations. I like to have every single control isolated so that, you know, you've got ailerons that only do roll and elevators that only do pitch, because, you know, the AI already has enough trouble controlling these craft without delta wing configurations, but I thought it would be fun. I've actually seen these lose AIs and whole sides of the craft multiple times and keep fighting, so, you know, I'm happy for how quick a build it is to just fill a role quickly, that they're very functional. I've seen people make much better fighters. These are very cheap, though. It's hard to really do much with 20,000 materials. And they don't have fancy programming like a lot of people do on fighters that dodge a lot of missiles, dogfight effectively. These just flop around and shoot APN guidance, and, you know, that's pretty much all that you need most of the time. They're still strong enough that you couldn't really put them in the Neater campaign for the Deepwater Guard faction. It would just be a little bit too unfair, but, you know, they're still, like, if you just go into the designer mode and slap together a really quick fighter that, like, works fine, like, this is pretty much what you get. Okay, so I've started to push out quite a bit. I've spawned in a few more Wigglers with resources I've gotten here. I am starting to work towards a larger vehicle, but you can scrap vehicles for 1-to-1, so there's no real reason to save up. I might as well just spawn in a bunch of vehicles, and if I want to combine them, I'll roll them all back up to a base and scrap them all. So none of these look like they have that much going on, so I'm probably just going to steamroll all of them. And then I'll really start to pile in some resources, and then hopefully I can build something interesting. These still aren't, you know, gold mines, but they're decent. They're all around 32 minerals per second. Here's the Piscivore. I've not shown this one off yet. It just got spawned in on one of the bases that we're attacking and ran off to fight us beforehand. So, kind of like a submarine or ship hunter style thing. Not really applicable for what we're doing here. It's got the very common, like, a lot of armor, or pretty much no armor, decent amount of firepower. I don't think it can really do much to avoid these missiles. It's not an agile craft. It could be it could be slower, but it's not agile. Now its face is gone. It's not actually despawning in any way. Still at 70%. Apparently its AI is somewhere in the tail section. I'm surprised it can fly with this much wing segments. Maybe it's like deco, or they're alternating up and down, which, you know, adds drag, like on Minecraft. Not a noticeable amount of drag, but still some. Okay, out of control. So, may eject before about when she blew up. You've really got to stay on your toes in this campaign, especially when you set the speed up to 10 times. A Dragonfly and an Ifrit, who I'd seen earlier, or, you know, the Ifrit's really slow, so I saw her a long time before the Dragonfly flew in, and we've got two Wigglers facing off against them. I've already killed an Ifrit in this campaign, although I don't believe that I've shown that I have. It was part of a base I blew up. So, let's see if her missiles do alright, and then we'll see how ours do. Oh yeah, we're wiggling too much for her. Oh yeah, way too much wiggling. Oh, she's not wiggling. She's just not. Oh yeah, that wasn't nearly enough wiggling. So, spinning might be a good trick, but wiggling is certainly on the radar there. And you can actually get places while wiggling. This ship is cool though, or this plane. Can't really deny it. Huh. Probably no turning thrusters active at that range. That was probably the issue there. She's very, very agile when she wants to be. which wasn't right then, apparently. Okay, I have no idea what I did to get this to trigger, because I did blow up some forts, like, 1 or 2 small skirmishes ago. Pretty trivial things. I didn't blow up a major base or that sort of thing, so, yeah, I don't think I destroyed Grand Niaz's air fortress. I think I would remember if I did that. Isn't Yaktya already dead? It said something about my men storming something, which made me think that if I looked around, maybe I would see some new property pop up. Okay, this is new. Yeah, I just spawned a Punisher fleet somehow, so that's interesting. Well, let's scramble the ships that can actually make it there in time. This guy's going to be too slow. I was going to use him too. So, I was wasting some time to see if this would finally build something. So far it hasn't been so good about that, so I might send these down here to blow up this relatively smaller base first, then see if something important pops out here. I will be leaving myself slightly vulnerable in the meantime, but yeah, I think I'll do that. Oh, can I not? No, that guy's just too far away. You have to be within a tile. Alright, let's see. We're doing a lot of wiggling this fight. A lot of wiggling. We're probably in the advantage from the amount of wiggling that we're doing. Okay, these guys need to stop. The smoothbore, Ifrit. Look, I'm not even moving my ships and these guys are going all over the place. Yeah, we're definitely outgunning them. I didn't realize that this Punisher fleet was actually pretty small. It's sort of weird, like early in the game you spawn these massive ones, and then late in the game you get these small ones. I think the pacing's a little bit off. Which I could, use as a segue to complain about Baldur's Gate more, where I'm fighting level 7 PCs at level 4 in the Underdark, and then still somehow wind up at almost the max possible level at the end of Act 1. There's 1 or 2 things I missed. Like, Aunt Ethel... Were those, missile interceptors? No, I don't think so. Like, the Aunt Ethel fight bugged out entirely, so I couldn't actually complete the Mayrina quests there. So there's a Piscafor here somewhere. Oh no. Oh, my engine. My poor engine. So something got us with an explosive missile there. Our ship is, like, mostly fine as far as the expensive components are concerned. But yeah, they're not Deady Blades. You, like, actually need an engine. So there's a Piscafor. This isn't designer mode, so I can't see if there's more just by doing that. I was wondering, because it seemed like we're having some trouble, if there's other things that we could have been aiming at, but no, we were just struggling a little bit. Alright, not so bad. I know I were running backwards. I finally figured it out. I left, and I haven't even touched anything yet. I left these on automatic, and I meant to change just these, because these really want to yaw and strafe, even though they're pointing forwards. So these need to be manually controlled. They need to be pusher for back only. Yeah. Yep. So there you have it. I was actually... So I switch almost everything to manual control, but I left everything on this craft as automatic because it was just working, which is really unusual. And I thought, it's fun to try the new thing sometimes, but you've got to be really careful, apparently. This was a new enemy too. We're shooting at something. This is not what I meant by the new enemy. This is the Caltrop. When I said there's a new enemy, I meant the Hawk Sail, which we had just blown up while I was talking. Oh, this thing's going to be an absolute nightmare. I think these are Deady Blades. I mean, they should be propellers, but the thing's not burning materials. It does cost power to move, though. But yeah, I don't actually know if we can kill it. Like, we legitimately might have to try to crash into this thing. Stop dodging! I just want to hug you! Well, it's dead. Black Sparrow's inbound. So this is our ship. We cannot see that far right now. I decided not to build like an actual spacecraft or that sort of thing for this. Oh, this is the guy who really got punched. He's above his flight ceiling. We'll bring him in for repairs. It'll reduce our visibility even more. These guys need to be repaired too. Well, we'll see. They'll just come out of the fog and destroy us at some point, I'm certain. Hopefully they're not actually that bad. Well, here are the Black Sparrows squadron. They do have a Hawk Sail and a Jackdaw. I haven't seen the Jackdaw, and you'll get to actually look at what the Hawk Sail is. However, it does seem like they're probably the worst pirates you've ever heard of them. I totally butchered that. Let's pretend I never tried to say anything. When I think about one thing and talk about another, it never goes well. Let's see. Okay, so I've already seen this guy. Where is the... Already seen this guy? Yeah, it's the Hawk Sail, I think, right? Yeah, the Hawk Sail. So these are little, very, very exposed. You would think that they're HE because of this, but it was shooting kinetic rounds at me before, and they tow these little decoy sticks behind them. So the Jackdaw is the other new one. Got this really funky mechanical thing on the side. Let's see what these guys do. Probably short-range thrusters. Those really took off. Did not burn for very long. What are we going for? I mean, we don't have a choice, right? It's the biggest radar signature. This guy's flying high, kind of fat. That's what being fat gets you. Yep, the wiggling is currently quite effective. Being AI-ed is not going to stop a missile. I have no idea what that just snapped to. I was trying to snap to this guy doing some dogfighting. Oh, right to the dome. Yeah, so... Damn it. So a lot of their craft are not that explodey. Their ships aren't, at least. You definitely get that missing component. I didn't realize they had some sort of laser targeting. We get that sort of missing component fighting against the Air Force, which is certainly that explodey. So I really can't figure out what the national heritage of Spannerheim's fleet is supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be a ragtag bunch of a bunch of places. VCAV Contrabanero. So I've been waiting for quite a while to see if this will build something, and I've been getting it to do it, so we're just blowing it up now. But yeah, I've waited for probably like an in-game hour or so. Mostly at 10 times speed, obviously, and never did anything. Did it just pop out the Charybdis in my face? No, that was probably always part of the fleet. Well, we will see if we still win then, because that was not part of the plan. I did not spot that. It doesn't have much backing it up. That's the good part. So we'll probably still win. We will see, though. Interesting. I don't know if I should recognize this ship or not, but I certainly don't. Has a moderate amount of APS coming out of very, very exposed guns. Some simple weapons as well. One here. Oh, a cheeky guy right there, huh? Like, there's probably a spin block holding these guys up. They're probably actually part of this whole thing. So these are probably all active components in here. Wouldn't know without building on it, but that'd be my guess. Another storm burn. And... oh, this looks like a very mini crossbones, the Charybdis it was. Somewhat bulky armor, moderate firepower. A lot of it is APS. We're going to make sure that that's what we're attacking. Unfortunately, our Wiggler is probably going to be shooting at the Contrabanero. Okay, the first shot I didn't know where we are. That time it did. Yellow tracers, which is making it difficult to tell what the rounds are. Let's wait for it to take another shot. I was shooting at the Wiggler with the rear gun, because it's the only thing it can. Seems to be wiggling effectively. Well, I'm pretty sure I hit F11, but my keyboard is not doing the best. But yeah, I don't want the Wiggler to get hit by that. Charybdis is down to 94%. We are actually taking some fire. Yeah, not the worst, but those little airburst frag shells are what's probably actually getting the most damage in. We are not doing horizontal avoidance. Yes, okay. Much better. We can't wiggle like the Wigglers can, but it's better than nothing, right? So we're backing, you know, this is one of the reasons that fortresses are quite bad. We're really kiting away from the fortress quite a bit. So the implication has taken a minor amount of damage. Like usual, it's just some wood off the front here. A bit of minor damage all around from those airburst shells. Take a look at the Charybdis. We've decapitated her quite badly. She's only got one APS turret. It's barely shooting at the Wiggler. This contrail is very strange. So I think that's a bit about it for the space. Probably a bit more concerned than I really needed to be. Wasn't expecting a 100k ship to pop out of nowhere, though. I thought it was going to be a really trivial fight, and turned out to be a real one. Not quite like the Scylla one, which I definitely should have lost. I don't know why she wasn't firing. I won't complain. Yeah, these turrets, let's wait to see when we hit this one. They probably just absolutely detonate. Oh, this one doesn't have anything to detonate at this point. Without being able to look at the top of those, I would assume that they're belt feds. I'll be able to look at the top of this one. Yep, they're belt feds. Alright. Interesting. A storm burn definitely needs to know what it can hit and what it can't. Its detection is, yeah... I mean, it's shooting down there just to try to lead us, probably, but its detection's questionable. You can tell when barrels vibrate like this. It means they can't see as well as they need to. There weren't any notes about needing auto-detection, and most of these craft seem to be able to see things just fine. but maybe that's a problem. I mean, this might be decorative, but I have been seeing like radars and laser rangefinders and cameras and that sort of thing, so I assume they're supposed to work. Stormburn probably needs a big target or something like that. Okay, so it's got a yeah, it's got detection. Okay. Actually, it's got plenty of detection. I'm assuming this is a totally decoed up rangefinder. I didn't have to install a mod, though. Like, this has got to be original mesh hidden, a bunch of stuff tossed on, because I don't see the stuff that I usually expect. Although I'm not familiar with the normal ones for the new meshes. I'm only familiar with the armored ones for the new meshes, which have this weird protrusion on the camera. Maybe the normal ones just look like that. I don't know why. I usually use the normal ones more than the armored ones, but for these last few builds that I've done for this, I've only slapped down the armored ones, and I haven't placed... Yeah, the ends of them are flat and have those little protrusions on them. And I haven't placed any normal ones, I think, since at least not and looked at them carefully, since they got new meshes. I've done a few builds since then, so I've probably used them and just didn't notice. But a lot of my large builds haven't gotten to the point of actually putting detection on the thing yet. They're just big wooden mock-ups with subsystems in it, and I'm trying to be happy with the looks. So I think in theory we have excess ammo, but in practice the estimation for how much ammo you need seems to underestimate slightly for large fights, especially with APS like this. Like, technically we don't need any ammo unless the fight goes really long, because we can just feed it all out of clips. I suppose our CIWS guns will run out, though. I imagine this is going to be another very quick fight, because this is a very unarmored airplane, very, very offensively oriented, almost no armor on it. The Puffin is one that I haven't seen before. Definitely a lot of clipping going on, but, like, with these all in neutral positions, this would look really good. High rate of fire, sort of like dogfightery strafing thing. Dodge the first one. Oh, not the second. Oh, or the third. Oh, that's a travesty. Where are other ones? Oh, those got stuck in us for a long time. That's the sort of thing that can cause problems. Oh, yeah. Actually took quite a few shells for her armor cost, though. So it looks like this campaign is probably approaching the end already. We have the Spannerheim headquarters. This build job is... I was going to say it's probably old, but maybe it actually isn't. Trying to build something that cost $440,000 but couldn't afford it. The Raft City Scavengers, on the other hand... oh wow, that's a long text dump. It doesn't have any build jobs as far as I can tell. I waited on it for a while. I'm going to blow it up. It seems like there is an issue in this campaign in that, as far as I can tell, there are no... no transport ships to move materials around. So Spannerheim just doesn't. Some of these places will build ships in, some of them won't. But all the stuff like this is physically capable of building a ship. Another Punisher fleet. But they just don't. Okay, I haven't seen the Highwayman yet, though, so that's going to be interesting. I'll give it a little bit of time to come to me. I'll slap down a base here, maybe. I don't really need it at this point. I'm getting pretty close to finishing the plausible deniability, the last ship that I intend to build, before making an attack on the headquarters, which will hopefully trigger it to spawn a ship. That's what I'm really hoping for. Just in case it triggers an event, I'll probably bulldoze these. on the way in rather than coming around. We'll see though. Alright, here I have spawned in the Highwayman. So this is a battle against the Hawksail, the Trailblazer, and the Highwayman. That's a big looking gun you got there. I wonder how you make coil springs. I obviously can't actuate them, but yeah, I do not know what those come from. Some little wiring there. Presumably CIWS. These things might hurt. The first shot will probably miss us. They're not going that fast. Let's pause so that we can see what they are. Oh yeah, they're slow. Those look like chemical shells. Those are really big shells. They're very, very slow to be kinetic shells, though, so... A lot of mass behind them, though. Oh, she scoots, doesn't she? She's a wiggler, too. Oh, that was a big hit. I totally missed what did that to us, though. I mean, it had to have been the Highwayman. Interesting, we just changed targets to the Trailblazer. I mean, it could have been one of the planes, I guess. That's plausible. I don't see where the damage to us is, though, which is the bigger problem. Oh, she's still got a functioning gun. And still 130 APS firepower. Or at least the gun looks functional. It's not tracking well, though. That HE damage raining all over may have taken out some detection components. Let's see, so the wiggly plane's got to be us. We're not wiggling as much as I'd be expecting, though. Maybe it's... That is us, right? Yeah, that is us. I thought maybe we were dodging something. That's not it. We're on auto. There's a small line of blocks I saw falling down there. We killed the Hawksail, I think. This is the Trailblazer. Really surprised this glass cannon's alive. More surprising is the Hawksail was probably killed by a missile. It's really interesting that it got a lock. Probably not one of our AA guns, which might have been targeting it. So, yeah, those really slow shells just weren't going to cut it. Oh, wow. Okay. That's actually a pretty good hit. Took out a few of our clips. That's a potential issue, too. So we lost a line of ammo ejectors. So that would have been a really big detonation if we lost the clips after losing the ammo ejectors like that. It does look like the home base eventually managed to pop out a few vehicles. I was doing a little bit of scouting. I don't know if killing this is just going to end. We do have, I think, a few remaining things that need to be killed. So there's the HQ. So that's dead. Okay, so we can kill it or capture it. But there's another pub and plunder that needs to be destroyed. It's probably this one. That's an Ifrit repair station. Well, I'm starting to scout this out, so we'll find out. But anyway, so we've got a triggerfish that's passing the signal station, and we've got a sick cuff, something like that. I may scrap the implication after this fight to provide the materials to feed plausible deniability during combat, because that thing is really, really resource hungry. Oh no. We can't see this, so yeah. You know, Airships are always ultimately my go-to to solve this problem. It's an issue if it goes deep enough that I just can't hit it though. Because I can't manually aim any higher than the top of the conning tower. Yeah, those look like midges, so they've got a radar signature, so... Oh, we got a hit. So we've got a wiggler, it's gonna knock all the midges down eventually. We're missing over the top a little bit more than I thought I would, so I'll move my aim point down a little bit. Now we're missing under the bottom. I mean, this is to be expected. So, casemates. Casemates on the other side, too. Presumably shooting supercavitation shells. Is she making a run for the surface, or is she just crippled? Just crippled, probably. That additional health limitation in submarines is really what keeps me from building them. It's really, really rough to have your ship die at 80%. Underwater aircraft carrier, though. Nice. I meant to do some tweaking around the anti-aircraft capabilities on it. I still don't expect it to be a problem, though. I did say I was going to destroy all of these. That's just not happening. They've got way too many very, very small buildings, so I'm just going to go around the outside and blow them up. Really don't think I need these wigglers, but it's always good to have just a little bit of tried and campaign battle-tested equipment to bring alongside your new stuff. So here we go. Spannerheim HQ, very, very big building. Crank all the size all the way up, though. It's not enough to actually cause performance problems. Could bring that in. No real reason to. It's a dinky little building. Spawn our flagship in there. It's the ship that really makes me feel like a pirate. Since I spawned in the skillet very, very early on my first attempt, I thought we were going to be fighting some really big stuff, which is why I started building the plausible deniability. But it seems like that's not necessary. So here's the plausible deniability. She's got a set of strength 7 shields that protect the core. This also matches up with where the heavy armor layer is. Outside of this, there isn't heavy armor. So she has a very excessive amount of engine power for what she does, mostly. So relatively low firepower, but the weapons are actually very firepower to material efficient, at least for APS. These are 2-meter autoloaders shooting 475mm shells, so they are ammo ejectored. That's where the little bit of radius reduction comes from. These are aiming differently. They are actually 2 different velocities. So there's HESH in the middle and high explosive here. If it was just neater, I might not have any high explosive. Maybe not just HESH, but no high explosive. Originally, when I did this, one of the turrets was not aiming differently, but all the other ones were. They all have all-in-one local weapon controllers for each barrel, but one of them was aiming all the barrels the same way anyway, and I went in and changed the priorities, which isn't something I had ever realized was necessary, but apparently it's just random which ones have priority over which other ones. So, lesson learned there, fixed that, and now they're all aiming at the same place. So, very, very chunky material-wise for an airship, or armor cost-wise, especially for a wooden airship, right? Like, there's a lot of weight here per cost to hold up in the air. That's why she's very fuel-hungry. There's a lot of custom jet engines. These are not necessary to hold her up, but you have to have them on at least one side, because otherwise she's going to start to have roll issues. She does have a few, like, cheeky jet engines stuck here and there to help out with pitch and roll and stuff, but not enough. The LAM system is pretty modest. I've been very unimpressed by it, as I have been pretty much every time I use LAMs. There's missile interceptors as well. I really tuned these more than I usually do. I wound up going with prediction, guidance, and fins. I did a whole bunch of different tunings before this. The issue is that I'm not using deck mountings for any of these. I didn't want to put something on the deck for them. I could have, but I didn't want to. And she's fast. So APN guided and predictive guided missiles coming in from enemies, well, they lead you. These guys pop up, have a big delay. By the time they're done coming down, the missile they're trying to intercept is way out here and they can't run and chase it. The prediction guidance helps them to start the intercept course way earlier than the APN guidance, which doesn't even do a very good minimum length path to get to the target. So that made a big difference. It's actually kind of effective. The issue is, well, she's fast, so she really wants to fight at a distance. Being fairly fast and fairly tanky. But I gave her these guns, and these do not have a very high velocity. Shell speed for the HE shell is 373, barely better than Cram. The Hesh 412, significantly better. Well, not significantly, but, that's noticeably better than Cram. But she can't brawl at close range with Cram, she'll lose. If I gave her Cram, she would be a great close range brawler, though. But I didn't. She just doesn't have the firepower. I do want to update these in the future with possibly something that has much, much higher velocity on it. So then, at range, she'll actually be able to hit ships like the Tarpon, for example. She can't even fight the Tarpon. She can't hit her. So this is the HQ. I didn't realize... I thought, oh, that's a lot of stone. There's no way that's... the HQ, not that much armor cost, considering it's a fortress. So anyway, might outfit her with APHE, be able to fight the Tarpon. She already does very well against a lot of godlies. There's the really standard ones that even before I made her bob up and down to dodge. Cramshells, the Crossbones, was crushed by her a lot, but she beat the Stralsund pretty convincingly in the test that I did as well. Some that she doesn't do so well against, most of the ones that she can't hit. Oh, this isn't a building. Interesting. Yeah, those are Sky Fortress turbines. Alright. So there's not really much here other than this fortress already killed the smaller ships. So let's just wind her up and let her go. So Hesh hits first, and then the HE. Got a lot of missiles coming in. So one of the things I didn't do... we're taking a lot of missile damage. We have LAMs. It's definitely not keeping up. Our interceptors actually hit targets. We just couldn't deal with that much damage, apparently. But we didn't actually take that much damage. So we also only fire at relatively large shells, but we're still wasting a lot here. There is so much going on, it's so confusing. So anyway, one of the things that I didn't optimize on her. Let's hope we get enough height here. One of the things that I didn't optimize on her was the way her missile interceptors actually engage. So they're just fired off of ACBs. They don't use any controllers or that sort of thing. And this line of sight might be a problem for us. So they don't use any defense controllers, anything fancy like that. So sometimes they choose very bad targets. A lot of her difficulty against the Stralsund, which she still does win pretty convincingly, but a lot of her difficulty comes from the fact that We're not shooting them all down. We're actually doing a pretty good job. So a lot of our difficulty comes from the fact that we're not shooting at the HQ. We're shelling houses instead. So a lot of her difficulty against the Stralsund comes from the fact that the distraction sticks on the Stralsund are targeted almost exclusively by my missile interceptors. It's really not good. Yeah, we're actually doing very well now that we've lost a little bit of firepower on the HQ. I do wish that I circled at a little bit less of a distance so that we could see what's going on here a bit better. So in combat, we're doing about 100 meters per second right now. Outside of combat in a straight line, not a lot of missile firepower left, that's why. Outside of combat in a straight line, we do about 120. So I'm really happy with how her shell performs. This thing is very tanky, can weather a lot of damage, sometimes has issues with this relatively lightly armored section. I say relatively lightly armored, there's still a lot of armor we haven't gotten through here, but there's a pretty big mass of engines here. There's also more engines in the back. It's better to stagger things by type a little bit. It's not like the armor here. We really like to be shot here. Our lambs probably doesn't need that much protection, to be perfectly honest, right? Like, swapping my engines and my lambs might actually be a good strategy. We've also got these laser turrets. We haven't used them yet. They only fire at close enemies. I've been thinking about retuning them. I meant to actually retune them so that they'd fire at anything as long as you have enough laser energy. But she's a really fun ship. I've been running her in the designer mode a lot, blowing up a lot of different things. You know, so she's not pretty enough to be like a neater campaign design or something, but for me, still pretty good. There's a lot going on here. Could be a lot more, but I've been trying to do these designs as just like fun interstitial things. So, you know, spend a day, maybe a day and a half on a design, not, you know, weeks or months. Those are the other builds that have been going on. Oh my god. Actually, this is incredibly... I hit Shift D by accident. This is very solvable. There's multiple ways for me to solve this. Unfortunately, these things seem to be too small. Oh, they're also going after these, the Wigglers, maybe? Yeah, they are. They're running from me. I'm using so many materials to kill these things. Okay, please. Please, please, God. Okay, we should be getting into laser range soon. There we go. We are not hitting it. There we go. That was actually a shell. Century young, tenacious fireball of the south. So I guess it means Spannerheim died. His men are scattered. So it looked like there was another spear in the pub left, but maybe as soon as you've killed the headquarters, everything's gone. Actually, not spear in the pub, spear in the whale. Actually, I looked around, there wasn't another spear in the whale. Okay, so that's it looks like. So, I actually thought it was reasonably fun. It's still a lot of work to be done for it. And the next video I'm probably just going to blow up a bunch of stuff from the other factions if they do indeed exist. I haven't really double-checked that. And maybe mess around with this craft a little bit more. We didn't get a scorecard. Force Santiana has not yet spawned. Okay, there's something that I have to blow up to spawn the Santiana. I don't know. Really quickly, I might check to see if I can do that. Maybe it's one of these things. If it's interesting, I'll add it. Otherwise, this will be the end. But I'll do the outro in another segment because I don't know if it's the end or not yet. Okay, the signal station was another Spear in the Whale pub. That's why there was another one. Pub and Plunder. Showed up as the signal station further out on the map, and that's why I didn't realize. Anyway, this is going to blow up really fast. Oh yeah, so blowing this up actually gave another text dump, and I did forget to clarify from one of the other ones that I skipped through that we weren't actually responsible for the engine failure on the plane. The original thing was that on the first text exposition was that it went down because of a bad engine that was our fault for building it. No, it was actually sabotaged. But yeah, this line makes it seem like it was irreconcilable and he is just in complete denial. Although, this is a Spannerheim line, and he's dead. At least, it doesn't say it's Spannerheim here, and he's not quite talking like it, but it says my plane. Ambush. Ambush north and ambush south. Let's pause so things stop moving. I paused. The worst part is that this is going to keep counting down while I'm paused. Machinist and Ordnance. Jackdaw, Puffin, Trisha, Puffin. So these are still not what I was trying to spawn in, are they? Yeah, not Santiana. Maybe I still have to destroy one of these. Maybe I have to destroy this or this. Well, we'll engage with a plausible deniability and bring the Wiggler in for good measure. I never get tired of blowing things up with her. She is at 92% from that last battle, but that's really not going to be a problem. Oddly, I actually want to use the same side again. Fighting the enemy, I should have spawned the right side in instead of the left, because I don't want to lose this on both sides. I can get away with it. I can't lose too much of that stuff on both sides, though. So the Ordnance, this is a really big craft. It's not the bomber we saw earlier, though. This is a cram bomber. The other one looked like a missile bomber. That's, it's not fast enough to be a cram bomber, like a really threatening cram bomber. Oh, yeah, we can't see this. This is gotta be one of the most creative craft I've ever seen. I see winches. Oh, this thing's hilarious. But yeah, I forgot to put wireless snoopers, so we actually just can't see this. I think we have to unpause to actually put this down. I really don't want to fire all of my weapons. It drives on the bottom. I suppose that's what you'd expect. We'll let ourselves blow up the... Oh, are we actually going to get Karen bombed? Yes, we are, because we are not doing the thing. Oh, our Wiggler's lost an AI. Interesting. Either something very strange happened there. It is possible for stuff to warp through armor. Yeah, this is one of the problems. We are going to have extreme difficulties, no matter how much of a sitting duck this is. Oh, okay, this is enough of a sitting duck for us. Okay, looks like the engines have been taken out, so she's just gonna slowly plummet at this point. But yeah, we could use some faster shots. I did consider plasma. I should split my weapons up into groups so that I only fire my main guns, but I just generally don't manually fire. Let's see if we can hit this. I really doubt we can. You know, rather than, Oh, well, okay, we can see it then. We were playing with automatic detection on the whole time. I must have spawned in one of my other... Does not seem like we're targeting this. I must have spawned in one of my other craft in designer mode that didn't have, Those are torpedoes, of course. No wonder we didn't get hit by a huge missile. Well, that's not terribly threatening, is it? But I must have been messing around with one of my smaller craft that didn't have... Not smaller, one of my newer craft that didn't have detection yet. There's a very, very large plasma ship I'm making, in addition to the carrier that I'm still working on, and neither of them have detection. Okay, we have dealt like 400,000 damage, and we have not killed any of those torpedoes. I didn't think she was going to run on the bottom because... Yeah, they need to work on that lock-on stuff. Because I don't see any damage mitigation, right? I don't see any rubber unless it's been changed in color. Okay, we are ignoring my targeting. Maybe the campaign has its own rules. Yeah. Even though I have automatic detection 1, it doesn't seem to be getting used. The campaign might be overriding. Oh, so that seems to solve that riddle. Alright, on to try to figure out how to spawn Santayana's forces. Clearly my AI targeting routines need a little bit of work. I was blowing up some of these shacks before blowing up the Stormworks. This is very expensive. We are drinking a lot of materials to blow up some little pieces of wood. It's absolutely not worth it. She's really a similar configuration to the Tycho with 2 guns on top and 1 on the bottom. Running cost, despite not using railguns, is significantly higher because we're not supporting our weight with helium. I think a slightly more serious build in terms of effectiveness. We are having trouble hitting whatever we're aiming for. We just retargeted. We're retargeting a bit. I thought I put a pretty high multiplier on the current target, so it's interesting that we would retarget. I have a very high preference for stability, to the point where maybe I'm not putting enough bias on weapons and armor. Actually, the higher armor for some of these shacks might have been the issue for targeting. I don't know. There we go. Did we manage to spawn in Santayana? My sources say no. Oh, wait, this is actually new. This is not Santayana, though. The Cutlass and a Scimitar and a Falcon. We managed to heal there because of Rambot. I might actually have to stock up on more materials at a certain point. We've got to wiggle, right? We've committed to wiggling at this point. All right, let's club some seals. So I haven't seen any of these boats. So this is the Scimitar. There's definitely a lot going on with this gun. It's deco. To me, this looks like a very Borderlands thing. I don't know why. Very, very balanced for the craft. These two are actually relatively similar in size. But you still got to be the Cutlass, right? Because you've just got so many missiles on you. Oh, actually a lot of APS firepower, though. It's not the... It's not the missiles that are making her expensive, is it? This looks highly volatile. Very, very compact, though. Probably will dodge most of the first volley. Managed to dodge most of the Hesh. Not most of the HE. Actually, all the Hesh. I don't see any thump damage being done. Almost a collision with the Falchion there. That's a big gun, isn't it? Have we taken noticeable damage? Oh, we took a little bit, yeah. These are making our life very difficult. They're making each other's life very difficult, though, as well. Oh, now we're hitting things. Yeah, try dodging this. Yep, that's sure something. Taking another percent as well. We're really knocking down a lot of the incoming fire, but not all of it. Probably the big gun on the front of the Falchion was giving us the most issues. Those guns looked highly reactive, but we have not... We've damaged them, but we haven't popped them, so maybe I was missing something. Or maybe I didn't check which shells they shoot. Maybe it's kinetic or something. But yeah, we need slightly higher velocity shells. We're struggling to hit, especially smaller or more maneuverable ships at a distance. Also missing all of our sails. We probably cut a few of them off ourselves. It's just not the same, right? Oh wow, we've taken 9% damage. It's almost all wood though, so it's very insignificant. It is a problem with building with this much wood, especially when you have a lot of non-wood, is that you can get 2 damage from losing too much wood, and then you still got a lot of ship left, but you despawned. I've generally seen her very, very good at fighting to low hit points, but there are a few times that do some unfortunate groupings, like just grouping too many engines together, or too many lift jets together, or that sort of thing. I have seen her gone down a little bit early. So, still not Santiana, so a little bit more work to do, apparently. There are not many things left to blow up. Okay, that did it. Like, Yugolta Land, or whatever that place was called. I have trouble remembering those names. That triggered something. Okay, so this is what spawns the Santiana. When I tell Spannerheim what's happened, oh, you go tell him. I know exactly where you can go find him. Okay, yeah, this is the sort of thing I was looking for. I kind of want to repair this up to full health. It's probably not necessary. This is a much more even fight, though, so, you know, let's do some wiggling. Get the whole crowd here, except for the implication, because there's no more implication. Okay, so they really don't let you win without killing the Santiana, so I guess it is important. Those are bigger than 5 meters, yeah. So that means that they're decos. I don't think Right, like, this would be 9 meters. I don't think there are 9-meter tires, right? Not that I checked that much. Okay, so she's got a little bit of rubber protection for ramming. A lot of lights going on. A bit more firepower than us. Actually, a little bit less cost, but a lot less armor. And she is just bristling with guns in every possible direction. I've always wondered what to use these for. These are the wood boards. I thought, you know, they look kind of cool, but, like, not in a way that's actually usable. Oh, these are the puffins again. And yeah, we already saw that guy. Yeah, that's not going to hit the Wiggler. That might hit us, though. I don't know what launched that first line of shots. Okay, these are definitely target prediction guidance. They're pretty tanky, too. We didn't even manage to change the smoke color. Okay, still got good roll control, so shouldn't be a problem. Just in case. Oh, we've lost a little bit of firepower. It's APS firepower that we've lost. I was wondering, some of our shells didn't look quite right. We usually don't lose APS firepower very easily. I almost never see it, actually. Just lays that guy right down there. Oh, we actually popped a few of the missiles this time. Yeah, some of those shells aren't quite right. They're not firing at the right tempo, and that's not the right diameter. Still holding up well in terms of Gorilla. That's a lot of missiles for a small craft. Definitely just sheared a few chunks off. She sits low in the water, which is difficult for us. Relies on up thrust as well. I mean, so do we, but we don't try to float. We're down to 83%. She's down to 76. This is actually going to be reasonably close, because we're having trouble getting good shots off on her. A lot of our shells are missing. Oh, we're in the water. That's a huge problem. Why are we in the water? Maybe these are more necessary than I thought. I have not seen us go down like that, so that's a campaign thing, I guess. We're going to win anyway, but I guess I'll fix that. In the future, I'll spread those out a little bit more and make it so that losing one bank is not going to kill us. Actually, we're despawning too. Well, we are going to win, eventually, I think. I don't think any of these things can kill the Wiggler. It's really unfortunate that we lost the flagship so easily, especially because she's just been so unbelievably tough in every other fight that I've used her in. And then, yeah, you bring her into the campaign, and that kind of thing happens. And now I can't see anything. Oh, we still got the Beeble. Not that the Beeble's going to hit any of these planes, is it? Probably really far away, too. Okay, this is something that's actually capable of killing us, maybe. Nah, these guns are not gonna manage it. Not very good hits, given that those are... Well, maybe there's some radar decoys going on here. We don't have signal processors. Well, Beeble went down. That's just the Wiggler, who is not doing up and down wiggling properly. We might lose this because of the lack of wiggling. We still have enough ships left to win this eventually. Yeah, we're actually going to lose if we don't wiggle. This is going to take forever. I'm going to have to skip to the end of this, or just intentionally lose and bring in a few more wigglers to end this off. That's all that I actually have left at this point. Yeah, that's just what I'm going to do. Oh, actually, did we just win? We killed the Santiana. Oh, do we actually have to take all the territory? I'm not going to bother with that. So, I'm considering this the end of it. I'm not going to bother finishing this fleet anyway. So, apparently that's the Stradani Civil War. So, did enjoy it. Have a few wrinkles to work out in the plausible deniability, apparently. I'll go and do that and edit this episode and put all these ships up on the workshop. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the future.